Welcome everyone. Today we are going to discuss first the biography of B.S. Naipaul. Whether you have ideas about B.S. Naipaul or not, I don't know. And he is one of the Commonwealth writer. So you have seen his picture and portrayal. More interesting, in 2017 he came to Bangladesh with his wife and he stayed in Bangladesh nearly 7 days. It was a great experience for Bangladeshis actually, who is the lover of different types of literature. So this is the picture. The picture tells us something else. Can anyone tell us what he actually says, what it tells? The picture tells us something. What it tells? Unity. Anything else? Achievement. It's a ceremony. It's a ceremony where some people may be awarded. So as we are going to read, as we are going to discuss B.S. Naipaul's biography, we can easily understand that B.S. Naipaul may have awarded something else valuable. That's why we have added the picture here. Next one, this is B.S. Naipaul's portrayal. You can understand that he is still now alive. Already I have mentioned. So the picture tells us something as well. You have seen that only one man who received the award and the other are really accompanied with him with the glorification. And what type of award he has received? Can you imagine now? Or can you guess? For literature, which one is the best award of the world? Booker. And anything else? Nothing else. It's really shame. It's really shame as you cannot reply to Nobel Laureates. He is a Nobel Laureate. He achieved the Nobel Prize in literature. So you must know it. And this is his another portrayal. You can understand that. So this is his Nobel Prize. He is showing it with his wife as well. Then this is the moment whenever he is receiving or he was receiving his Nobel Prize, and B.S. Naipaul, you have seen that he was born on August 17 August 1932. Where? In Trinidad. Trinidad is an independent state of West Indies. You know that West Indies is not a country, it's a region, it's a community.
Red Indians.
He was the second child of his parents, and in 1880s his grandparents migrated from India to work as farm laborers. In the Indian migrant community in Trinidad, Naipaul's father became an English language journalist and in 1929 began contributing articles to the Trinidad Guardian. The last thing you should always recall in your mind, whenever we go to analyze the House for Mr. Biswas by B.S. Naipaul, you will see that it's a reflection of his autobiographical sketch. In House for Mr. Biswas, we see that the grandfather of the protagonist migrated from India to Trinidad. His father was a writer. Whenever we read or we are going to read, we analyze the biography of B.S. Naipaul, we see that his grandfathers were also migrated from India to Trinidad. His father was a writer, he is a journalist, and used to write in Trinidad Guardian. So, after discovering this parallelism, most of the literary critic mentions that a house for Mr. Biswas is nothing but the autobiographical sketch of the writer himself. Okay? Because you will see that a number of similarities you will find between the real life of B.S. Naipaul and of the protagonist of House for Mr. Biswas. Next one, in 1932, the year Naipaul was born, his father joined the staff as the Chagonas correspondent. The state correspondent is a government job, you know it. Then, in 1939, when he was 7 years old, Naipaul's family moved to Trinidad, capital Port of Spain. So you know that the Port of Spain is the capital city of Trinidad, where Naipaul enrolled in the government-run Queen Royal College, a well-regarded school that was molded after a British public school. So it's a significant for two reasons. First of all, B.S. Naipaul was sent into a good school. Secondly, the school was established not by the local people, not by the Trinidad government, by the British government. So, such a school, whenever someone became a student, they must be familiar with what? With the colonial life. And mostly they may have forgotten about their own culture, own tradition, own values, own beliefs as well. Regarding so you can understand the significance of these two. Okay. Next, what we say at Oxford, Naipaul's early attempts at writing, he felt, were contrite, lonely, and unsure of his ability and calling. He became depressed. In April 1952, he took an impulsive trip to Spain, where he quickly spent all he had saved. So we could understand that whenever he managed the job and he earned something else, the last year he tried to, or he used to live in Spain, and he spent all his earned money. It had also some significance. Okay. So this is about B.S. Naipaul. In 1952, before visiting Spain, Naipaul met Patricia and Hell, his future wife, at a college play. What does it mean by a college play? Can anyone explain this term? They acted commonly in a play. In that time, they met together and they may have fallen in love. It may indicate, but there is an indication that his future wife. So it makes us doubt whether they were husband and wife or not. With Hell's support, he began to recover and gradually to write. She became a parent in planning his career. Her family was hostile to the relationship. He was unenthusiastic. In June 1950, Naipaul and Hale graduated from Oxford. So you see that the two things. First of all, his family didn't allow him to get married. Hale, why? That's the significance. Maybe most of the critics think that as Hale is not a Trinidadian, she is a foreign one. So their cultures, their habit may not match each other, and they may have lost their child if he gets married this one. That's why there is a problem or contradiction. Anyway, in 1953, they have graduated from Oxford University. Anyway, you have seen that the thing in 1953. Naipaul's father died. He worked at odd job and who had borrowed money from Pat and his family in Trinidad. He means what? He worked at odd job. Here we have seen that his father. We are talking about his father now. So later on we see that life in London of B.S. Naipaul. Naipaul moved to London in 1954. In January 1955, he and Pat were married. In December 1954, Naipaul began appearing in the BBC's What Caribbean Boys Once a Week. You know that BBC has number of branches. They are trying to broadcast their news in the local language. BBC Bangla, it always tries to gives us news through Bengal. Okay. Similarly, in Trinidad language, he did the work and he was appointed there in 1954. Once a week he used to go the office. Sitting in the BBC freelancer's room in the old Langham Hotel, he wrote the first story of Mughal Street. It is one of the important things. Mughal Street is the first story book. Okay. So it indicates of what? A person, he always tries to get the information. As his origin is in India, that's why he tries to highlight his own origin, collecting from what? Mughal Street. Okay. The story was inspired by a neighbor he knew as a child in Port of Spain. Naipaul wrote Mughal Street in 5 weeks. The New York Times said about Mughal Street. So it's a series. In 5 weeks he tries to cover the story. The sketches are written lightly so that tragedy is understood and comedy is rested. Yet the ring of truth always prevails. So he always feels which one? His own origin, his own identity. Because Trinidad is not his own land. His origin is India. That's why he tries to write something else regarding India. And then we are going to talk about his writing. First of all, you have seen that. Sure. Any question from your side? So this is his writing. First one, The Mystic Major. It was published in 1957 and film version published in 2001. You know that the difference between the original writing and the film version. Okay. And second one is The Surface of Elvira. It was published in 1958. Mughal Street. It was published in 1959. And House for Mr. Biswas, which we are going to read. It was published in 1961. And Mr. Store and the Nurse Companion. It was published in 1963. The Mimic Man, 1967. Do you have an idea about what does it mean by the word mimic? To copy something else, yes. A flag on the Iceland. So he has already contributed some other one as well. So these are his writing. First of all, in a Free State, it was published in 1971, and he was awarded Booker Prize for In a Free State. Then Gorelias, it was published in 1975. A Bend in the River, it was published in 1979. The next one, The Enigma of Arrival, it was published in 1987. Then A Way in the World, it was published in 1994. So next one, Half Alive, it was published in 2001. Then we see that there are some other writings that are published in stories. Actually, this is a collection of stories. It was published in 2002. Sir?
Way in the world. A way in the world.
That was the way of the world. Yes, obviously. That is the completely different, okay? Anyway, so as a writer, he has achieved a lot of things. And you will see that in 2009, Man Booker International Prize nominee. What does indicate the word nominee? Can anyone tell me, please?
He selected, but not prize for it.
He was recommended, but he didn't receive that one. Thank you for your answer. In 2001, he was awarded the Nobel Prize. That's why he is called the Nobel Laureate. In 1993, he achieved which one? David Cohen British Literature Prize. In 1989, KVE Prize he achieved. Then in 1971, Booker Prize for Fiction. Already we have mentioned for what or which fiction or what fiction he has achieved that one. In 1968, W.H. Smith Literary Award he got. In 1964, Houghton Prize, and 1961, Somerset Maugham Award he achieved. In 1958, Mail on Sunday, John Lillian Rice Prize he achieved. So, do you have any question regarding his biography? First of all, I would like to repeat and brief. His origin is Indian, and already we have mentioned that 1880s his parents were migrated from India to Trinidad. And more interesting is that migration, the word indicates something else very positive. Willingly, whenever you are going to live somewhere else, but the history says that his grandfathers were forced to go there as a sugarcane labor. Can you imagine? They were forced to. And the history of West Indies says that 1880s, 1890s, number of Indians were forced to go to there to where? To Trinidad as sugarcane laborer. It was their strategy, and you know that in that time, who rules our countries, the subcontinent? The British. ruler were ruled, and they forced us to go there. And more interesting, his father became a bit educated, and he was appointed as a journalist in the port of Spain. As a result, B.S. Naipaul got the chance to study where? To study in the port of Spain. And later on we say that sometimes he went to Oxford and he acted in a play, and he met a girl named Hale, etc., etc. Okay? So later on he has written a number of books, and he was awarded, or he has been awarded. Why he has been awarded? Because he is still now alive. And I already mentioned that he came to Bangladesh in 2017, and he stayed in Bangladesh 7 days. So it was a great achievement. Okay. Anyway, as you have no questions, so we must say that thank you. So this is these are the subject matter of House for Mr. Biswas. It's a very smaller one. You may not catch this one. First of all, we can say that intruder laborer. Who are the intruder laborer? As we have mentioned that the protagonist's parents were migrated from India to Trinidad. So they were obviously the intruders. Okay? And we can say that unhomeliness or diasporas. Unhomeliness. What does it mean that? Just think about the Rohingya. 100 years later, their grandchildren will live here and they will claim that Bangladesh is my motherland. But they are not, or they will not be, because their origin is not here. Their origin is where? Arakan, Myanmar. So, unhomeliness. At any moment they can be attacked. And you know that before 1947, those Bangladeshis who went to Assam, nowadays they are tortured severely to come back to Bangladesh, because the Indian government claimed that they were not Indian. They are originated in Bangladesh, so they should come back where? To Bangladesh. So similarly, the people who were migrated forcefully and their land of which they had in India were conquered. They had no land in India nowadays, but they were treated as homeless people in Trinidad. This is one of the major aspects or ideas of the text. Next we can say that assimilation, ambivalence, hybridity. What does it mean by hybridity? Do you have an idea? Shankar. Frequently we say that the subcontinent people are hybrids. Okay, similarly, those people who, people of Trinidad, as we have read the text, which when things fall apart, before the arrival of the colonial people or the British people, what do we see that? They were pure. They had no intention. And they had a good remark. But whenever the white people arrived there, they started contaminated the blood of the local people, and the local people became hybrid. Okay? Whenever they left the country, they say that you have no origin. Your blood is contaminated, mixed. So, you are inferior to us. That is their strategy. Similarly, the same thing we saw where, or we see in House for Mr. Biswas as well. Then we can say that aborigination and appropriation. So we should discuss the background of House for Mr. Biswas. House for Mr. Biswas was B.S. Naipaul's fourth novel. Already we have mentioned that it was published in 1961. It was published in 1961. Following three earlier efforts that were essentially all comedies of manners set in the author's homeland of Trinidad. In the case of global recognition and near universal acclaim, the turned out that the fourth time was a charm of Naipaul, also predominantly a comic novel. So, a number of comic elements you will get in the text, okay? A comic novel. The story of the novel that made Naipaul a major figure in the world literature was inspired by the story of his own, for the most of the critic mentions that, okay? So remember that, can anyone explain the terms or the phrase or the title, A House for Mr. Biswas? Mr. Biswas, we can say that we can understand easily, this is the protagonist. Name of the protagonist. But my question is that, what does it indicate, a house for Mr. Biswas? What does it indicate? Do you have an idea? Sorry? His motherland. Anything else? He is not a originator of Trinidad. Why do you think that Trinidad is his motherland?
And I think the house which has been mentioned is not his own house.
This is not his own house. Thank you so much. Then it's an excellent idea. Whenever you have no house, how do you feel that? When you are living in a hostel, when you are living in a rented house, you see that you have no freedom. The owner says that you cannot enter the house after 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. or you cannot what? Do something as whatever you like at your home. So this means what? Your homeliness. You have no the rights.
Yes.
Whenever you have no house anywhere else, what would be your condition? You are the refugee. You have no identity. You feel the identity. That's why it indicates that here the protagonist is searching. He is searching a house. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. That character, Mr. Biswas, is charted over a 50-year history with a backdrop of a significant cultural change in Trinidad. So, huge change he has enjoyed in his life. For example, we can say, the man who was born in the British colony in 1930s or 1920s, they saw the change in Pakistan period from 1947 to 1971 in the East Pakistan, whenever they were the citizen of East Pakistan. Now they could see the change of the culture in the independent Bangladesh. In the life of Mr. Biswas, he enjoyed the change. He experienced the change because his generation started from his migrated grandfathers, then his parents, and finally he himself as well. Okay. The most ethnically revered nation in the Caribbean, his history represents for his creator a great leap forward over his previous three books, as each widely recognized as the first work by Naipaul, which deserved serious recognition as his master work. Which one? Because of his A House for Mr. Biswas. It makes him familiar one to each and everyone to the third world. Why? Because the previous three were traditional, but it is the first time he is able to show forward his own identity, the crisis of identity, or the reason of crisis of identity in Trinidad. And through the text, he shakes all the minds of what? Minds of the third world countries. It means that who are the colonized by the British ruler, they could understand that what they should do. And we are lucky because in 1947 we became independent from the British colony. But we are unlucky in that way. We became independent from Britain, but we fall in another colonizers. Who are the colonizers? The Pakistani ruler. Anyway, then his history represents for like as a creator a great leap forward over the previous three books already we have done. The modern library certainly thought it was discovering at least of that accolade in 1998 when a house for Mr. Biswas made the organization list of the best 100 novels in the English language. So you could understand how powerful novel it is. Why? Because it was listed as one of the best 100 novels written in English. Okay. So next one. An attempt to adapt the novel into a stage musical in 1961 failed. At first, there are some people took the step to turn it into a stage play, but they failed and it became a unsuccessful one. But the experience provided one of the all-time great entertainment ironies. Though set in Trinidad, the characters like Naipaul's family are immigrants from India, thus making their way from one British colony to another. When the musical production collapsed, composer Monty Norman's refrained the turn for a song called Bad Sing, Good Sing into the theme, etc. Anyway, just I would like to mention that here he wants to mention those things, why the novel has failed to draw the attraction to the readers at first and how it becomes popular to us as well. Now we are going to analyze the major characters of House by Mr. Biswas. So, who is the protagonist? Can you guess? Who is the main character of the text? Mr. Biswas. His full name is Mr. Mohan Biswas. Okay. So, how he becomes Mr. we should know it. Mohan Biswas. He is a protagonist. Mohan Biswas was born as a bad luck child and grows up facing different situations with behaviors ranging from rag to first. His life is a series of accidents, coincidences, and poor choices. So what does it mean by poor choices? Do you have any ideas, please? Sorry? Small choice. Anything else?
He had many choices, but he could not fulfill his desires and choices.